Hello, everyone. I want to thank all our high-performing campus members, HPC, in attendance, and we also had several special guests. Very excited about this. This is our very first, our inaugural CFO and COO webinar series. We're very excited to finally get this kicked off. It's been a long time coming. Our goal is to have more of these in the future. So either in the chat box or after the webinar, you can feel free to leave any topic suggestions with us or Bill or anyone at Building Solutions. Also a note, our sixth annual HPC Facilities Leadership Retreat, which is located in Atlanta at Woodward Academy, is in September the 21st through the 23rd. For more details, you can email Bill Dillard, and his email will be in the chat. And the last reminder is that this webinar is recorded, and we will be emailing a link to all the attendees after this webinar. I hope today's discussion clearly communicates that this program is a tool for you, CFOs and COOs, and not just for facilities, to help with the increasing maintenance demands and complex challenges your physical plants face. We are going to hear from two of your peers and fellow HPC members that we feel have done a great job of taking advantage of all the programs HPC has to offer. Joining me today are Paul Mayhew and Jim Bonfiglio. Paul is the Associate Head of School of Operations at River Oaks Baptist School, and they have been HPC members for 8 years. And Jim Bonfiglio is the Director of Operations. And actually, Casady is our longest serving HPC fellow. Paul and Jim, and I'd start with you first, Paul. Can you tell us a little bit more about your campus and campus operations? And what were the unique challenges that pushed you to join HPC?
Thanks, Dennis. Yeah, a little bit about our campus. So we're preschool to 8th grade. We've got 900 kids, 7 buildings with about 320,000 square feet under roof. And our newest project that we completed 2 years ago was a $65 million expansion that included a new middle school building, a new admin building, and a 144 space underground parking garage. So takes about 6 months to dig a hole here in Houston. But my relationship with Building Solutions goes back about 25 years. And I kind of wanted to talk about how we've kind of brought our board and our buildings and grounds committee along the way. I think what first brought us to Building Solutions was really twofold for me. In those early years, back 25 years ago, it was important to me to, number one, kind of have that report card on our on how well our plant was being maintained by our facility director. 25 years ago, I was new to the profession, didn't know much about HVAC and roofing and building repairs and things. And then the second part of it was just needing to know what those raw numbers were. How much did I need to spend and when? And so I think that kind of drives kind of the initial go-to for the facility audits. And we've come a long way in those 25 years. I think the HPC program being the culmination of a lot of collaboration between both our school and building solutions. This mindset of just looking at the numbers in a spreadsheet kind of kept us in that kind of short-term vision and kind of chasing deferred maintenance and hoping our expenses weren't outweighing what we were putting into the Prism Fund. And we really had little strategic planning going on. In addition to that, it was easy to sell this idea of the facility assessment to our board because we only needed funding every 3, 4, 5 years. Relatively good value for what we were getting at the time. I think what's also unique to our school is that we are faith-based, so we fall underneath a church. The church here on our campus owns all the land. They own all the buildings, even though the school has raised the money to pay for them. We have a separate school board, but my directives on buildings and grounds come from the church buildings and grounds committee. So that was kind of an uphill battle in itself to get this church that had $1 million budget and we've got a $26 million budget to agree to, have this facility assessment done for us and, trying to tell them what the value of that was. And so when we got into the HPC program, the value far outweighs, what we're paying. Now, Dennis, don't raise the price on me when I say that. But, the first 15 years that I've dealt with building solutions over a span of 3 schools, we were kind of satisfied with that static report that we got that you stick on the shelf and it gathered dust for 5 years until you called Dennis again to come out and do an assessment. And, people could stomach that ever so often spend money on an audit. So it wasn't until about 10 years ago when we jumped into the HPC program that we really started reaping the benefits of everything that was there to be offered. And that's grown over that 10 years. I did have to sell it to my board and to my buildings and grounds committee. Here we're moving from a small outlay expense every few years to kind of a big chunk of change over a 5-year period. And so, as you can imagine, convincing your school board to commit to that kind of funding with a consultant without seeing an actual maintenance expense, you really had to show what value would be added. So, for us in dealing with our school board and our church buildings and grounds committee, it started with a lot of education just on the basics of what an assessment was and what it could do for you. We had to educate them on what the facility condition index is, the use of a CMMS system and how that could benefit, tracking of everything. Spent a lot of time on selling them on the benefits of not running to failure. It was hard to convince a church with $1 million budget that we need to replace large pieces of equipment, even though it was still in functioning order today. You just didn't know if it was going to be functioning tomorrow. And that was really the big piece that we had to educate on, was planning for the future, getting them focused on that, not just 3 to 5 year outlay, but what are you looking at 10 years down the road, 20, even 30 years out. And so I think once they understood the terms and the process and the importance of maintaining those Prism levels, the conversation really shifted from do we really need to do Prism this year? Or, if we didn't do that, we might be able to balance our budget to, how can we fund Prism at an adequate level that we don't have to worry about it from year to year. And that's kind of when the light came on for them. And so I think the greatest benefit that I've seen of the HPC program as a CFO is that at the board and building and grounds committee level, and we're spending a lot less time worrying about individual repairs and replacements and worrying about deferred maintenance, and we're kind of spending more time with your help, Dennis and Kevin and Bill and Econom and Joe, spending our resources to ensure that we're sustainable moving forward, and really how to operate more efficiently
Sure.
as a campus and a plant. Just some of the things that we've done here at the board and buildings and grounds level is that we're using the assessment as we do our campus master plan, and really evaluating, whether we spend the resources to renovate versus to demolish and build new. I think that the board really sees the benefit of using the assessment that way. Packaging projects, they're Fortune 500 CFOs on our committees, and they get the fact of cost savings that can be had by packaging. If you're going to replace your roof, you might as well replace the rooftop air conditioning units at the same time. And so we've been able to have the board kind of evaluate that process. Something.
I think I would like to give you a chance to talk in more detail about what our process has been as integrating with your board. And I know at Rob's, there's been outside of any of the other HPCs, we've had a unique process of updating your board on an annual basis and being fully plugged in. So I think I want to hear more about that in some detail. I do want Jim to give a little bit of background on his school and some of the reasons why they moved over to HPC.
Well, so Casady, like you said, Dennis, we've been a part of our relationship with Building Solutions for quite some time. Casady, we're about 8 acres. We've got a lake on our campus, and so our buildings are around the lake. It's a beautiful setting. So our community and certainly our board really appreciate the environment that we're able to provide our community. We've got about 26 buildings, 250,000 square feet. It's a little unique because they're parceled out in small chunks spread out around the lake. And but it's a beautiful setting, and the environment is very, very important to our board. And I think that's one of the reasons why they appreciate the relationship and that we have with Building Solutions, because the information we get from them and we share with them is very, very important. I mean, every time we embark on any kind of improvement, or they certainly like to hear the opinion or the feedback we get from Building Solutions. As far as the when I kind of came on board, and at that time we had a long time plant manager, and we started the relationship with them and with the HPC, and wanted to do a little bit more. And of course there was conversations about moving over to a CMMS software, which our old school plant manager was really not a big fan of, and so we kind of eased that in with some of the recommendations from Building Solutions, and really got that going. So at that time we the evolution, we were having them come out campus and do the assessments, and it was just kind of a yearly thing. They'd swoop in, they'd send us a spreadsheet, and we'd scramble to update it, and then we get it done. They'd come on campus, did a wonderful job, gave us our assessment. Our board just loved having that facilities condition index, and they love to get the feedback of where we are and where we maybe have been. And then also they love the information about some peer schools. And so that was something they really valued. But the HPC program, it kind of, in my mind, that it's growing and it's maturing. And I know, Paul used the term, the collaboration, and that's exactly what it's been between us and building solutions, and just kind of that relationship started maturing. So it wasn't just kind of an annual relationship. Now it's kind of like an ongoing. We're in constant communication about the facilities. We have monthly meetings, and so I feel like that even that once a year they put the eyes on it, but throughout the year we're always talking about things, and I feel like the conversations that we have, that they really know our campus. And so I think that aspect and that program and the frequency and how that has increased is really really kind of changed uh, our relationship. And like I said, it's kind of an ongoing conversation, and not just not just a one-off or very minimal
Sure,
kind of
sure.
situation. So
I think that's a good segue, Jim, into giving the members here some details into how um, the relationship between you two in particular has evolved. It wasn't always the case in day one, and as you said, Jim, the program has matured. But could you talk, Jim, about the story? Because it wasn't always where you saw us the way you see us now. Could you talk about kind of how you originally saw building solutions and how you see us in this HPC program?
yeah, well, and a lot of it came from, again, our plant manager, was he would always get very, very defensive about the assessment, but then after a while, just having that ongoing conversation, it truly became more of a partnership. And so I know in the evolution of the relationship, when with the hours that you give the clients now, and I remember talking to Bill when he was you know thinking about instituting that, and it's just been, in my mind, it's been a game changer, because now as our needs arise, and boy, they're ever changing and things move really, really fast, we've been able to utilize those hours and really have uh, whatever comes up and whatever is needed, uh, give you guys a call, and then you just jump in there with us. I mean, I remember when we had utilized you we're partnering with one of our local um, architects, and we kind of working on a master plan, and then we kind of got to the point where, okay, we kind of have an idea of conceptually the buildings that we want to kind of put out there, and we utilized our hours, and you guys really jumped in, and for about 6 or 7 buildings started pricing them out for us, and we utilized that information, sent it over to our development office, and utilized that information so they could start doing their feasibility study and test the interest of the community for projects that we may do or may not do. But and currently we are doing a project that came out originally when you guys are involved in the master planning with us, and then also with the pricing of everything, and actually that's a project that you guys right now are kind of managing for us. So that kind of opened up. It was kind of like, that was the aha moment, that, wow, we could do things, that whatever comes up. And I know I've reached out to you guys. We've had a problem with roofing, and you've helped us through that. We have rooftop units, massive changes on that, and you've helped with that, and so just it's just really it really feels good. And, in my mind, I have other things that now that, I'm thinking, okay, I need to get them involved in these things. And so it's really, really just kind of opened up, uh, opportunities for me and certainly which goes to the schools. So.
Sure. I think there's one thing you said about a year and a half or so ago, or maybe it was a couple of years ago, Jim, and it resonates with me. You said you used to see us as a vendor, but now you see us as a team member. And that really resonates with me. And I think it clearly and crisply kind of communicates the difference between us being just a facility audit provider and then converting over into HPC. I like the way you put that.
Yeah, and that's when we started that program. That's how it changed. Like when our plant manager, when you were just doing facility audits, you'd swoop in there and he'd get a little defensive and everything because. And then it just evolved, like I say, into more of a partnership and working together. And so it's been good.
Thank you, Jim. Paul, so yeah, you were about to get into, or you were describing how you've integrated us across the board, not just speaking with Daryl, your facilities director, and you, and kind of piecemealing this. You're one of the very few HPCs where we actually have a seat at the table at the BNG, I believe, and we, on an annual basis, not only present the facility audit findings, but we create a presentation that we help you communicate to that entity. Could you explain more about why you do that and how that has helped? And you're on mute, Paul.
Sure. For one thing, our Buildings and Grounds Committee changes people every year, and we want to make sure that this is continually put out in front of them as a value. And I think what makes it easy for them to understand is the way that we put together the charts. I mean, it's not a pivot table with 1,000 numbers on a spreadsheet. We really boil it down to, for example, the campus map, where you can show hot spots where maybe some heavier deficiencies exist. And I think it, in their minds, they can see that, the sanctuary is in red. So we know that there's major deficiencies and we really need to tackle those issues. And we can show it by building. We have charts by system. Those system charts really show you where you can develop some economies of scale and tackle certain things at once if you have same systems, different buildings. So I think the way we present it is very simple, but yet, powerful when you can show them whether you're meeting those deficiencies in each building or you're not. And so, and then beyond just, the assessment charts, there's so many other things that you've brought to the table with our Buildings and Grounds Committee, whether it's, helping us to evaluate and do an RFP and select new custodial vendors or HVAC vendors. You brought to our committee the clean air assessment. During COVID, we were very concerned about the air quality in our buildings. And so went through a full clean air assessment, and we could show the committee that we met ASHRAE standards. And so bringing, it's one thing to have my facility director present these things, but having you guys there, it makes the conversation that much more meaningful for them to hear from the experts themselves. And so it's not just about putting that needs list on a screen and say, we need to fix this, this, and this. It's kind of really showing them a 30,000 foot level presentation from you guys that that they can really resonate with and not get into the weeds of specific equipment or recommendations on that level. So I'm glad that you guys make yourself available to come talk to either a school board, a building and grounds committee, a risk management committee. It's a powerful conversation when we can get our consultant in front of our school board members.
Thanks, Paul. Yeah, it is one of those things where, there's a lot of information out of the assessment, and having to carry that along can, you guys are all capable. That's why you're part of the high performing campus program. But, at no additional fee, you can bring along, your technical advisor to add any more details to the message. Jim and Paul, you guys both talked about, collaboration. One part of the collaboration are the monthly meetings we have. And I know both of you all attend those with your facilities directors. Jim, could you start off by talking about the importance of and why you attend that with your facilities director?
Oh yeah. Well, number one, I want him. He's in the trenches, so he's going to have really, really good questions, and so he needs to be. I want him to get ownership, and I want him to really utilize building solutions as a resource, and so that's the main reason why I want him involved, and then also again, he's the one that has the deep knowledge of our systems here, and he can give the best information. And so, but it's important for him to be a part of this.
And what about you, Paul?
Yeah, I agree. And I really enjoy the monthly check-ins because, we're so far removed from that one-time facility assessment where we meet and then may not have another meeting for another 2 or 3 years. And so this not only helps keep the facility director accountable, but he also knows that by me as being the CFO on that call, that I'm more informed, and there is a higher expectation of working together. And I think, both Econom and Kevin really, try to be as much as of a peer than just a consultant. And, that's the kind of relationship that I think meeting every month and, how can I help you kind of customer service attitude. Kevin brings just a wealth of knowledge from his experience at the university level and an independent K-12 level. And so, he's an idea machine, and he has that knack of, asking facilities directors, did you think about this, or how can we help you over here? And I think the facility directors really feel that support, don't feel threatened. And I think that's the key to engaging the facility director with building solutions is, how can we help you? We're here to make you shine in front of your board and your school board. So that's kind of the warm, fuzzy feeling we get from our monthly meetings.
Yeah, no, I can clearly say that for the HPC members where the CFO or CFO attend with the facility director, we get more engagement. I think along those lines, oftentimes we see facility directors, and Kevin can communicate this in his life, that hearing the word facility audit can often sound like you're getting audited. So if no one really likes to get audited, but having someone on your side supporting you and being there, as both Paul, you, and Jim stated, of being there as support and also being another set of ears. We've seen what we know is to be the gap of understanding between facilities and CFO and COO decrease. So no, we definitely are encouraged and encourage all the other members on this call to know that the monthly meetings aren't just for the facilities. It's for both. Paul, I guess along those lines, have you seen? I know you had a story about talking about Daryl, and what have you seen as far as improvement between you and his relationship, and possibly tightening of the gap of things that you expect to see out of him? And again, you're on mute.
Yeah, I think what has improved that relationship is just because we're willing to invest the resources in this partnership, and understanding that it isn't a threat, that Building Solutions is there to give more help than criticism. Once you get over that hurdle, there's so many things that he's relied on as a resource, whether it's just bouncing ideas off of you guys about vendors and contractors and keeping them honest. We're a school that outsources everything, and so we depend on outside contractors to do the majority of our work, and with just himself and myself being the only people on payroll, it's imperative that we support each other and work together. And so I just think that knowing that there's resources allocated to making his job easier, and that kind of I'm not that lifeline to those resources for him, has helped us work much closer together. And whether it's providing the funding, providing the professional development. I mean, you got the HPC retreat, you've got the network of HPC schools that he can reach out to, reaching out to you guys. So I think just knowing that there's money and resources allocated towards helping him do better has allowed us to kind of have that trust, because he'll call me and I'll ask him, we'll bounce that off of Kevin, see what he thinks. And he's, again, like Jim said, it's a team. And as long as you can get over that trust barrier, it works well, very well with the facility director.
Jim, do you have anything to add with you and Rick in terms of what I just asked Paul?
No, Rick appreciates the backup if needed. He's got somebody to bounce things off. I think that's something that we're going to continue to focus on. I mean, I like hearing Paul saying, "Yeah, what does Kevin, think about it?" Because Kevin is really, really a good resource, and I know that's one of the things that I want to pay attention to. Rick is to get opinions and collaborate a little bit more. No, don't just don't act, so to speak, but really understand and learn. So we're gonna focus a lot of Rick just kind of learning a little bit more, and then using buildings solutions as that resource.
Awesome. Thank you. I think at this time I wanted to open up the floor to our guest and fellow HPC members, and give you guys the opportunity to ask some questions. I can see all the names, so I know, even though you guys aren't showing your faces, I can see the faces. So does anybody want to ask any questions at this time?
Hey, Palmer, I have one
Yes.
for Jim and Paul. If y'all, either both or one, could talk about the real financial paybacks that the programs offer to you as compared to just having our team come out and update the audit. What other financial paybacks has the program offered for y'all?
Well, I can tell you one. Like I said, we contract most everything. HVAC and custodial being the most, but one thing that has paid back tremendously is just when we went through the transition of choosing a new HVAC mechanical contractor. You guys came in and evaluated the need, helped us scope out an RFP, helped us with the interviews. You were right there beside us interviewing people and then making the selection. And, that process saved us money, not just on an annual basis, but, looking over the 6 years that we've had this new mechanical contractor that you really helped us scope out what we needed. That's saved us real dollars in the long run. Another big example is just Kevin right now is assisting us with analysis of our utilities and those expenses. And so, immediately he gave us 5 suggestions that we made that we were able to cut down our electricity expense, whether it was, tweaking outside air, tweaking schedules, and how we staged our equipment. Again, that was real dollars, and that came out of one of our monthly meetings that, it was a goal to see how we could be more energy efficient. And, that just came out of our partnership.
Yeah, I know that we're currently in a construction on campus here with our primary division expansion, and I know it's been awfully helpful that the project manager has access to the people who kind of maybe know our facilities, and that back and forth was very saved me a lot of time, and also which again is important. And so I know that's been a great payback, so to speak, where I know that the person leading this project has access to information about our campus, and so that was very helpful. And yes, Kevin has been helping us with that electricity evaluation, and so just Kevin's been on a call when we had that massive roof problem that we had to work with the people who did the forensic study on it, and he kind of was able to give me some feedback as far as the company, and that they were a very good company. And then of course, then when we spoke with the manufacturer about that it was a product failure, and so yeah, I mean, just so many things that that really, I know, just have, on the financial ledger side is something that has helped us.
Awesome.
Dennis, I have another one. Unless
Okay.
other people have, I want to make sure that the floor is available for other people that want to unmute themselves and go and ask away. I just wanted to give people a moment to ask.
Shoot, you can go ahead, Dillard.
Okay, and then that's that 5 seconds of uncomfortable silence.
Wait! I was muted.
No, you don't count.
You know what? Actually, this was Dillard. I may be stepping on your toes, but it plays along with what Jim was just saying. Jim and Paul, you guys are experienced users of the program, and I think we've got some folks on here who are newer to the program. Some new to the program, some new in their position at the school. I briefly, because I know we're getting short on time. If you had to do like when you get a TV and you get the quick start guide, it says, okay, you don't want to know all the features right now, but you want to be able to watch the Cowboy game Sunday. I don't know why you'd waste your time watching that abysmal team, but you want to get the TV on and get moving. If you were to create a quick start guide for a new HPC user, where do you think are the areas to plug into first? What would be the thing where you go, hey, this is a feature that I didn't find out about until year 8, that, man, if I had known about it in year 1, would have been beneficial?
Well, listen, I mean, again, the feature is that it's customizable. In other words, that they're very, very flexible, and that the needs of what we have is something. I haven't found anything that I couldn't bounce off them and get some support for. I mean, so it really comes down to what my needs are and really examining what we want, and they've been able to adapt to meet those needs. So I think that's the first thing I would say is, boy, I mean, don't try to fit their mold. They'll fit your mold. I mean, they'll help you wherever you need the help.
I would agree with that. I think it really depends on the skill set of your facility director and kind of what they need support in. If you're a well-versed facility guy and you have your CMMS up and running and you can get the information that you need out of it, it may be more on the consulting side that you need help on. But if you're brand new and new to building solutions or facilities, you really have to have that baseline assessment first. A way to extrapolate information that you need. But again, like Jim said, I think it's just very dependent on your school's individual needs and skill set, and how educated your school board is on what the benefits are.
Thanks, chaps. Appreciate y'all.
Good question, Rayburn. Dennis, I have one more.
Shoot.
So to Jim and Paul, what type of fear or anxiety did you guys feel, if any, initially about having members of our team, members of the Building Solutions team, speak to your B&G or to your board? I know y'all mentioned something about having us there now in a comfortable situation, but did you have that type of fear or anxiety initially? And what helps put you more at ease with having that direct contact with our team, with your board? Something that maybe some of the, I know CFO or COO just isn't familiar or isn't ready for that. What is something that y'all could talk about that help put that ease out?
Well, I think you got to know your board, or you got to know those members, and try to have things presented in a way that is going to resonate with them. I will say that Building Solutions, the track record and the reputation carries a lot of weight with our board, and so they are very interested. When Econom did a presentation in one of our meetings last time, and certainly the documents and the information that we get to them is their ears perk up and they're very, very interested. And it's really, I mean, they've kind of gotten past the recognizing the value aspect. They do recognize the value of this partnership, so they're very interested about the information. So I guess as far as the anxiety level on my side is not very high because they have that reputation, and like I say, they value the information that they receive from them. So you probably, if you lay the groundwork and then you build that trust with them, and then the information that and the services that Building Solutions can provide, that's going to take care of a lot of things.
Yeah, I would say that my fear is, you don't want to get too far in the weeds, but I think the fact that Building Solutions knows our campus so well, when you guys come in to talk to our school board or buildings and grounds, many times you guys know the campus better than they do, and they've been a parent here for 10 or 15 years. So I think the fact that each assessment is individualized to your school, even though you have that breadth of knowledge of what's going on in the independent school facility world, being able to connect with your committees and being, co-presenters along with our facility director and myself, we're able to stay at a high level and not get into the weeds. I think they appreciate kind of that overview and experience that you have with our individual campus, and I think that they kind of look to you guys as the experts because we've been working with you for so long.
No, that's awesome to hear. And I guess this is probably a good opportunity to talk about a new work product that all of the HPCs will see towards the end of the year. I think all of you guys are aware of the facility audit update, where you get a report. It's very detailed and it gets updated every year. Comes with a pretty detailed database. One thing that we know for a fact, though, can be difficult or at least hard to synthesize for a board member is, 200, 300, 400 pages of assessment. When the question is just how are we doing? So we will be providing for all the HPCs an end-of-year report. And this report is it will look and feel different than the facility audit update report. Essentially, be anywhere from a 5 to 8 page report that is going to be at a high level that you can be able to pass along to your board, your B&G, your head of school, and give really crisp. Give a really crisp story and have high level metrics on how your campus has been performing year over year. So we're really excited for that work product, and we think it'll help, especially for some on this call that may have a hard time engaging their board or their B&G. I think it'll help with being able to get them to know that this is a program for the school and not just a program for facilities or CFO. I did see a question come through, and this was directed. I guess this guest was shy, but it was directed towards Jim and Paul, both of you. What kinds of things would you want to see incorporated in the program that aren't already a part of the program? I think I'll start off with you, Jim.
Well, I think they're moving towards it. That that platform that's going to house a lot of the information that we receive. I can't remember what you
FM Connect.
call it. Yeah, FM Connect. And I think what I would like to see is that become a home base, and that's a starting point and a workspace for both of us. And I think that would because I'm not a big person with email attachments and everything like that. So I like to have a common workplace. So if that's one thing, I mean, I see movement in that direction, and that's what I'm excited. If that can mature, I think that would be something that I would love to love. I think it would just make my life a lot easier, and just to have access to that information.
Paul?
Yeah, I would wish for the same thing. Don't want to repeat what Jim said, but we're with a CMMS system that's been around for a while, and I think just something that would simplify everything. It seems like all these programs have all the bells and whistles, but sometimes a school doesn't need all the bells and whistles, and so something that just brings together work orders, capital expenses, having that pivot chart to forecast out 20, 30 years, and really having a seat at the table to be able to, kind of discuss what our needs are with these companies, because, I think as a group, schools can be very powerful. I mean, we're different than hospitals, and we're different in ways from universities. And so I guess having a seat at that table to be able to craft what's needed for our, one-man facility director office. And I know you guys have been talking to several people, and like Jim, we're excited about being able to see something that's really tailored for our needs.
Well, no, we really are excited about the FM Connect program. It's one that we've created on our own. We do envision that being for each and every one of the HPC members, the hub, and all this is about bridging the gap, connecting. There's a lot of information and data that comes from the assessment, and trying to synthesize it and put these recommendations into packageable projects is a real-time goal for us. So we also though want to make sure that we're clear about the difference between the FM Connect and the CMMS. The FM Connect is how we do our work and how we communicate with you and how we collect the information, and allows us to create scenarios and not be afraid to work within a data set that could get messed up. The CMMS is essentially how we're able to keep all of the data in a implementable plan to turn most of those things into work orders. I know most of you are school dude CMMS users. We have, I think, sat down with each and every one of you on this call with a company called Operations Hero. I just wanted to give a little status update. I know we are in the process of converting a few of you all into sandbox beta test. We do envision that the capital module of Operation Hero will be coming up for test towards the end of fall. But we're really excited about having a solution that has a capital module where we can do capital forecasting and put our needs from the facility audit. We have a work order, which has wrapped up in it a preventive maintenance module. We have a scheduler that can interface and integrate with the scheduling software you guys have on campus, and having all those be able to speak to each other and operate in the fashion where they're smooth is a goal of ours. Man, we're just really excited about this conversation. I wanted to see if any others on this call had any questions that they wanted to throw out to Paul and Jim.
Dennis, I had one, but it's more of just trying to ask for insight from our HPC fellows. We've had like a lot of changes over the last, I think, 2 or 3 years, where we've changed a lot in terms of our reporting system, the way we do our assessments. I wanted to hear from Jim and Paul what they see is a positive difference from the way we did our work before and then the way we're doing our work now, and if there are any ways they think we can improve on that.
Well, I guess I'm not seeing much difference. I mean, I think you're coming out here and you're as far as the reporting, I'm assuming the assessment report, right, is what you're talking about. It seems very, very similar to to what we've received in the past. Too many pages. The one improvement again, if that could somehow be condensed, I will say that I think the structure and the format is a little bit different, but yeah, it's still a lot of information overload. I think I get more value in our conversations about it. That seems to have improved, helping me understand, that draft a little bit better.
Awesome. Paul, any insight on that?
Yeah, I think you've cleaned it up. I mean, really, when we're presenting to our board or the Buildings and Grounds Committee, I mean, the target is that executive summary. And so just making sure that that overview on 2 or 3 pages is all the information that you're going to be able to give to your school leadership. I mean, to me, that's a big focus. The pictures and everything else are great. But it's really synthesized down to that 2 or 3 pages. And that's about all of that our committees can absorb at one time.
Right.
Awesome. Thank you. Appreciate that.
Jim, well, good. We're at our time. Definitely want to appreciate Paul and Jim for setting aside time to speak to their fellow HPC members. As I said in the beginning, we expect to have more of these, and we are open to hearing any suggestions on certain topics we should be able to cover. I just want to say I've been really excited about the progression of the program, and I know the only way it's gotten better is that we've been able to hear from you guys, and I want everyone on this call to know that we really take that seriously. And whenever we get feedback from you, we're really focusing over here to use that feedback to improve the product, and not just improve the audit, but be able to implement the recommendations and to turn them into really meaningful solutions, and taking those scenarios, creating them into packageable projects. So again, just want to thank everybody. And the last thing I'll just remind everybody on the call is we have our retreat, and that's September through the 21st through the 23rd, and really encourage you to push your facilities professionals to attend. And with that, I'll say that's the end.